Okay, uh, what did we start on today? We started well close to this bone. This is the clavicle, okay, and the flat end that I'm holding it by right now is the acromial end. The other end, which is sort of chubbier and fits into the clavicular notch, this is the sternal end. Close to the acromial end, there's a small bump right there, the importance of which will probably escape us all. This is the conoid tubercle. Okay. Scapula. Let's do the anterior view first. This is the subscapular fossa. This is the coracoid process. Peeking up over the top is the acromion. Down at the bottom, the inferior angle, the superior angle. We'll go to the other side. This is the spine of the scapula. Comes out to the acromion. This is the infraspinatus fossa. Above it, this whole thing, my little stick here is fitting all of it. This is the supraspinatus fossa. You can put your finger in that. It's quite large. The glenoid cavity, also known as the glenoid fossa, is here. Here's the coracoid process again, the acromion here. Anybody ever separated their shoulder? Oh, don't turn your mics on. Okay, if you've ever separated your shoulder, you wonder, well, this thing is not very stable. You know, the humerus and the connection to the scapula. There are ligaments between this bone and your humerus, but what makes its most stable is the muscles themselves that we're naming. And once we put all those muscles in there with the deltoids, it's the musculature that keeps this joint together. There's a humerus, and I want to put it in anatomical view, so I don't want this hole here. Anatomical view would be this way. Here's the head, the anatomical head, neck, anatomical neck, the surgical neck. Now, if I come across the top of the head, come medially to the other side, this is the greater tubercle. In front of that, right here, is the lesser tubercle. And in between, the intertrabecular sulcus or groove. There it is. At the midpoint, there is this raised area. This is the deltoid tuberosity. At the distal end, in the anterior, we have this rounded structure, the capitulum. Above the capitulum, you can put your finger into it, is a small cavity for the radius. It's the radial fossa. I need a taller seat, so this will work better in the future. This one over here is the trochlea, and the trochlear notch is right above it. The trochlear notch is better called the coronoid fossa. Coronoid fossa, because we have trochlear notch coming on the ulna. If you look at these, and if you're familiar with the game of chess, the capitulum and the trochlea look pretty much like a pawn in the game of chess. On the posterior side is the olecranon fossa. This side is the lateral epicondyle, and the more pointed one is the medial epicondyle. Okay, the ulna always reminds me of something that's ready to strike. This top portion is the olecranon, also known as the olecranon fossa. This area in here is the trochlear notch. While we have such a good view of it, you can see this spot right here. That's the radial fossa. The head of the radius will fit into that. And if I come down the trochlear notch to its very end, that point right there is the coronoid process. Looking at the distal end, there's one little part that's resting on my finger right now. That's the styloid process, in this case of the ulna. Again, I love the radius. Okay, this just fits perfectly. You put your thumb on the head of the radius, then surround the neck. And here is the radial tuberosity. Come down to the other end. You can see there's going to be one part that touches first. If I touch it to the tabletop, that's the styloid process of the radius. The ulnar notch, if we're interested in it, is on the other side, right here, opposite the styloid process. Okay, for the hand, take any of the fingers. This is the little finger. It has a distal phalanx, a proximal phalanx. I'm sorry, a distal phalanx, my mistake, a middle phalanx, and a proximal phalanx. The thumb, on the other hand, well, not on the other hand, on the other side of the hand. What's going on? Minna, are you muted? Yes. Okay, minor. Here's the proximal phalanx and the distal phalanx of the thumb, which only has the two. Inside these 5 long bones, that I've got my index finger over, these are all metacarpals. Metacarpals. Now, I prefer to work with a bone box that has these bones here tightly strung, but that's not what I was given. So I'm going to have to do what you might have to do. Take the thumb first, touch it. Okay, it's touching one carpal. And that will be the trapezium. Take the index finger. And I'm touching it to one carpal. This is getting odd. Let me try something. Okay, thumb to trapezium, metacarpal 2 to trapezoid, right here, metacarpal 3 to the large one, that's decapitate, metacarpals 4 and 5 share the, I'm looking for a good spot. Let me turn that back off. Okay, here's metacarpals 4 and 5, and they share the bone up here, and that's the hamate with that crazy jutting out portion. There it is. I'm not going to try to put these in their exact place. This is the scaphoid. Sort of a boat shape. It used to be called the navicular. The next bone over is the lunate, and you can see the lunar shape to it, the moon shape. The next bone over is right here. That's the triangular or triquetral. And the one oddball that sort of sits up on top is the pisiform. Okay. We'll be doing x-ray of the hand as well. This particular set was not very good. Not very good. Everything else I thought was adequate. And